Hello again, and welcome back. How did you go with the pen tool? At this stage, I always like to remind my students about the 3 P's. Patience, with yourself of course. Perseverance, with everything really. And practice. But if I were to be really truthful, it is practice, practice, practice. I have supplied my file if you wish to use this for the next lesson, or you can simply have a look at how I have done my base shapes. Using your own drawing is the best option though. In this lesson we're going to add the style details. Going back to the taped last analogy we used in the last lesson, our last is now taped up and we're ready to draw the styling details onto the last. Once this is done, we will remove this from the last to start creating our pattern from here. Before we start, the last thing I did with you was to save the base shapes as symbols. To edit these shapes, we will have to break the link to the symbol. You will notice that you cannot really select anything in this shape. There is also a black cross in the middle of the shapes. This denotes that it is a symbol still and uneditable as yet. I'll select the shape and right-click my mouse to reveal the menu options here and select Break Link to Symbol. Or I can go to the Symbol panel and click onto the Break Link to Symbol option here. Once this is done, I can go ahead with my styling. I'll quickly move the top view to the next page. So now I'm going to draw the style lines onto the base shape of the side view. I'll first move the hand drawing back under the side view. I'll open the Layers panel, unlock the hand drawing layer, and then move it under the base shape and line it up. I'll use this drawing as a guide. I'll lock that layer again. Now I select the base shape and ungroup it. You may have to do this a few times before it ungroups. I use the shortcut here, Shift Command or Control G, to do this. I'll quickly change my keyboard increments back to 20 millimeters. Remember, Command or Control K, 20 millimeters, OK. I select the sole and move this down. Now, let's just make the fill on this shape transparent or opaque. I'll select the shape and go to my Appearance panel. Here I'll select the fill and then go to the Control panel and change the opacity of this to about 65%, just so I can see the drawing through. This keeps the stroke or the outline at 100% opacity and the fill transparent. Now I can draw the style lines. I'll start by copying the back quarter line. Remember, this is the piece that goes over the counter to join at the center back seam. To do this, I use my white arrow, direct selection tool, to select the one anchor point. I copy and paste this to the front, Command or Control C and Command or Control F for front. I'll change the keyboard increments back to 1 millimeter in Preferences. By now you know the shortcut, I'm sure. Select the line with the black arrow or selection tool and move this in. Now, I'll just drag the ends of the line beyond the base shape, being careful not to distort the line. I'll make another copy of this line and move this to line up with the next panel. I'll adjust this line to follow my drawing, making sure that the ends of the line are outside the base shape again. It is easier to achieve this line shape by adding an anchor point. This is one of the pen tool options, keyboard shortcut addition symbol. From here, I'll use the Line Segment tool. This is located in the Tools panel, and I'll quickly draw the other lines. And then I'll use the Anchor Point tool to shape these lines. Following this, I'll draw the ankle strap. Here I select the top line with the direct selection tool and copy and paste this to the front. Remove the fill, keyboard shortcut / if the fill is on top of the stroke in the Tools panel. You can use the keyboard shortcut X to toggle these. I'll move this line down to line up with the ankle strap on the drawing. I find it is best to create the inside view of the ankle strap before I divide the shape up. To do this, I copy the base shape and the ankle strap line as well as the back quarter panel and the zip panel lines. I'll move these to the side and adjust the top edge of the top line to reveal the inside view. Move the zip panel line and the quarter panel line over a little to add a bit of perspective to this view. I've just nudged it over 1 millimeter. I'll just bring the opacity of these two base shapes back to 100% by going back to my Appearance panel and selecting Fill again. I'm ready to draw the heel now. I'll use the pen tool and draw straight lines and close this shape, and I'll curve them with the anchor point tool. Make sure that the bottom of the heel curve lines up with the bottom of the vamp. Drag a guide down to guide you. Once I've done that, I'll move the heel down to line up with the sole. Now we're ready to divide this into pattern pieces or panels. First I'll make 2 copies of the base shape with the style lines. The original will be the one we cut into panels. The second copy will be for any overlapping pieces. I'll move this one clear of the original to the right. And the last one I'll keep to the end to be sure I'm happy with the shape of the panels. It is easier to redo this process than to try and change the panels once they've been divided. Remember to use your direction keys to move anything. Dividing the panels is easy now. I'll do the outside view first. I select the base shape and any lines that do not include overlapping panels. I'm doing the toe, the centre back zip panel, and the quarter panel. Now I'll click onto the Shape Builder tool, and when I rest my cursor on the selected shapes, you will notice that the area is shaded and there are 3 colour swatches next to the cursor. You can scroll through the colours by using your left and right direction keys. The middle swatch is the colour that will be used when I click onto the shaded panel. I like to save time by deleting the overhanging lines immediately. So I still have the Shape Builder tool selected, and when I rest my cursor on the overhanging line and press the Alt key down at the same time, the line goes red. When I click the mouse, that line will be deleted. Now I can do the ankle strap. I do this separately to keep the anchor points down to a minimum, as it is easier to edit a line with less anchor points. Okay, so we have 1 panel left to add. I'll go to the second copy and select all design lines that I've used and delete them. Now I can divide this shape for the middle panel. Let's divide the inside view now. Here, I'm starting by using the Shape Builder tool and holding down the Alt key to delete everything except the ankle strap and what we see behind the outside view. And then I'll divide this shape up too. Group the inside view panels together and then group the outside view panels together. I'll move the inside view back into place. Do you see how some of the corners are very sharp? I'll fix this by selecting all the pieces and changing the corners in the stroke panel to a bevel join. This cuts off that sharp point. Now to finish the outsole, I'll copy the bottom line only by selecting the anchor points I need with my white arrow or direct selection tool. I hold the Shift key down at the same time to pick up more than one anchor point and copy the line to the back. Command or Control C and Command or Control B for back. Click onto the selection tool and immediately move this down a couple of millimeters. I'll make the stroke weight of this line 10 points. Before you move the line back, select the anchor point at the toe and just pull it out a little. And I'll cut some of this line off close to where it intersects with the heel. Now I'll move the line back and adjust the front. I'm going to turn this into a shape now by going into the Object drop-down menu, then to Path and Outline Stroke. This turns the outsole into a shape, and it's easier to manipulate now. For the top lift, I'll copy the bottom line of the heel and move it up a couple of millimeters. Remember to remove the fill. I'm going to divide the heel shape to create the top lift. Once this is done, you can group the sole, the outsole, and the insole together, and then group the heel and top lift together. Now you can group both of these shapes. I'll move all of these back up in place. And I'm ready to do the top view now. I'll do this with a similar process to the side view. First, I'll line the hand sketch up underneath the basic shoe shape as you did for the side view. So I'll open the Layers panel, unlock the drawing layer, move it under the top view base shape and line it up. I lock that layer again. I'll select the base shape and ungroup it as we did before. You may need to do this a few times. Remember, Shift Command or Control G. Change your keyboard increments back to 20 millimeters. Select the inner sole and move this down. Now let's lower the opacity of the fill again. I'll select the shape and go to my Appearance panel. Here I select Fill again, and then I'll go to Control panel and change the opacity to about 65%, just to see the drawing through. Now we can draw the style lines. I'll just do these and not talk you through them. Note how I copy the lines for the crossover straps, as I want the straps to be the same width over the foot. Just a few points to note here. With the top view, what you'll see is part of the inside of the shoe. In shoes where the side of the foot is covered like a court shoe or our summer boot sandal, you will see the inside of the shoe on the inside of the foot, where the arch is and the waist slims down. Can you also see how I've drawn the outside of the foot first? I then join it to the shape that goes up the back ankle. The ankle strap will also have part of the inside showing. Once I've drawn all the design lines, I can divide the shape up. Make sure there are no gaps and all lines go beyond the full shape. I'll be very careful with this as there is a lot of overlapping shapes. Remember to keep one complete drawing untouched, just in case you want to adjust panels. As I said before, it is easier to adjust style lines before we divide, rather than trying to adjust shapes. The process for this will be as follows. First, I'll make 3 copies, including the inner sole of the top view. Before I start dividing, I'll move the inner sole and the center line down. Remember to use the keyboard arrows and about a 20mm increment so you can move things back into place easily. Now I'm ready to divide the shape. I'll need to be careful how I select everything here. I'll do one crossover strap or panel at a time and move each one clear of the shape I'm working on. Again, I'm using the Shape Builder tool and then the Alt key at the same time to delete segments of lines I don't need. Now I'll move the inner sole back up and do the sides. I'll zoom in so you can see this process. I'm now ready to fill the inside sides of the shoe. Select the full crossover strap and the inner sole and fill the space with the Shape Builder tool. Do this separately on the other side. This will now conclude the top view. So now we have a lot of the hard work out of the way. You will have found in doing this that the skill of drawing shoes is not just knowing how to use the pen tool in Illustrator, but also having an underlying understanding of construction. I find being curious so important. Study different shoes and ask yourself, how do they go together? If you have difficulty working through a view, just step back and doodle on some paper. I find hand drawing rarely helps me visualize. Then using Illustrator will take it up a notch or two for professional presentation. As usual, I'm here and I love to get your comments and feedback, and will certainly help you with any questions. Remember the 3 P's. Practice, practice, practice. Maybe we should make that 5, patience and perseverance too. I'll see you in lesson 2.